Hi, this is Jean Henningsen with Monarch Leadership Group, and this is Leading Through Crisis, Making a Difference. And here with me today is Rusty Branson. He is the Community President of CenterState Bank. Thanks so much for being here, Rusty.
Well, thank you, Jean, and thank you for the opportunity to come and share with you today.
Yes, absolutely. So we love CenterState Bank. It's our bank.
Hey.
And we're somewhat familiar with the changes that have happened, but please tell everyone, how has the bank changed its operations and how has everyone at the bank adjusted during this time?
Yeah, that's a great question. Pre-COVID-19, we started the year out as any other year in banking. In fact, we're looking forward to another prosperous year as our economy has continued to grow. And then, March 16th came and the world as we know it changed, especially in banking. So, clearly one of our key objectives was safety, as most everybody else was. And so safety, not only of our employees, but also of our customers. That did require us to close our lobbies down. Now, we are an essential service. As you can imagine, most people take their money very seriously. And so we had to give them access to their accounts and to their money, as well as to a lot of services that they needed. So we quickly pivoted by closing our lobby and converted everything to a drive-thru. Again, that was a pretty safe environment because we're communicating with people not face-to-face, but rather through a microphone in their vehicles. And so we were able to pretty much offer about 90% of our products and services all through our drive-thru, believe it or not. So we allocated our first lane for those services only. The other lanes were typically used for typical drive-thru services, cashing checks, whatnot. And I would tell you that did cause a little bit of, not an issue, but I mean, as you could imagine, when you go through lane one and you're trying to do a wire of all things, those don't go quite as quickly as it would be if you were cashing a check. So we did have a little bit of backup in that particular lane, but we were efficient in getting people through there. And I would tell you remarkably, one of the roles I have here as a president is I do get a lot of complaints. Well, I don't a lot of complaints, but I do have to address some complaints. And I would tell you, by and large, our customers were very accommodating and understanding that this was a new way of doing banking. So hats off to them for adjusting with us. And I think they understood that this was, for their own safety as well as for our employee safeties.
Sure. Well, that's wonderful that you were able to continue offering 90% of your services and products. I mean, that's really wonderful. And pivoting quickly, obviously super important. You got to quickly figure out, okay, how are we going to adjust to this? Now, I'm curious about the activity of your commercial and private customers. How did they respond? Because during hurricanes, people really panic and, they want to withdraw all their money, right?
Right.
What has been the activity or the change during this time?
Well, really, Gene, there hasn't, that same panic did set in with some customers. There was so much uncertainty what was going on. And we did have some customers who had approached us and they were withdrawing large sums of cash out of the bank account for no other reason that they wanted to park it somewhere for fear that something was going to happen, either to the banking industry or to the bank itself, or they couldn't get access to the money. So there was some fear that was projecting and initiating some of this behavior. What we did to get out in front of that, Gene, is to have some open conversations with customers to try to walk them through that and have them rethink that if they could. Because, the safety and soundness of the bank institution never wavered, okay? It was always there. It was just a way of conducting business, as we had mentioned earlier in this interview. And I would say most of them, understood it, got it, and then had second thoughts when we exposed them to the idea of you start taking out large sums of cash and you take it to your home, you're probably at more risk of losing money there to theft or whatnot than it is at the bank. And so we were able to convince some people that, it's probably not a bad idea to keep the money in the bank. So I'd say we only had a handful of folks, and I respect that. That's what their feelings were. It's their money, they're entitled to it, and they did take it large sums. Now, I would tell you all those have since returned it, I think they have understand now that the panic they were once feeling isn't quite the same as it was when this thing first unveiled itself.
Right, right. And it's not like we're back in the Depression days where the banks lost all their money, right? There was no protection. We have the
Right.
FDIC now. So,
Exactly. And another thing that we would communicate with customers that this, unlike the recession we had in 2008, which was a financial recession, this really was a healthcare crisis, not a financial crisis. And from that, I mean, we could see that perhaps that it was a little short time. It's not a long process for this recession. So again, once you had some open conversations with customers and explained to them the difference between a healthcare crisis and a financial crisis, again, I think it gave them a little better sense of peace about what they were doing and the safety and soundness of the bank. So,
sure.
Conversations.
Yes, yes. And let me just reiterate that your drive-through, obviously the public and your employees are physically separated, but in terms of the cleanliness, you all were going out and cleaning all of the little tubes and everything and wiping everything down. I know that as a customer, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone listening to this realizes that, you took lots of measures to protect the public.
Absolutely. Clearly, safety, as I mentioned earlier, was paramount to our customers and to our employees. We did pick up our intensity of cleaning, again, cleaning tubes. Even the ATM machine was getting wiped down. Anything that was being touched by a human really was being sanitized. And even in our bank, we had to have some vendors come at some point in time. So we were clean the bank every day, sanitize the bank every day. And again, trying to do whatever we could do to get the most safest environment for our customers and our employees. But it's been a process, no doubt. But I think clearly we think we made the right decision in doing whatever we can do to keep it safe for our customers.
Sure, sure. So when do you anticipate opening the lobby?
Well, that is a great question. Obviously, we evaluate things every day here as to where we are. And, CenterState Bank is throughout the state of Florida. What goes on in Marion County is a lot different than what may be going in Miami. So we may find ourselves in a situation where we can open up a little faster here, only extent that we have not had quite the outbreak they have had in South Florida. But that's being evaluated every day. Our plan is once we think we can have a safe environment for everybody, then we plan on reopening the lobby up. Now, that will come with some changes. If you've been in our bank, you're talking at a teller line, face-to-face with one of the tellers, or you're sitting down at a desk with an FSR face-to-face. We have in process installing, guards that will have a barrier in between you and the customer, again, for your safety. And so that's being put in place now, as well as, decals on the flooring to, make sure people are maintaining their social distancing as they're waiting in line, as well as creating some policy as to how many people we can let in the lobby at any given time. Again, all for people's safety. But again, we still have the drive-thru available, but we do have some folks that have always enjoyed just coming into the bank. I think, especially for the elderly, it's almost like a sense of something to do that day. So, and we want to help accommodate them as well, because there's an emotional component to this as well. And I think the quicker we can get back to whatever the new normal is, I think the better off everybody will be. But we have to do it in a timely and safe manner, no doubt.
Yes, yes, without a doubt. And well, you have such a beautiful lobby. That could be part of the appeal. And then the fresh cookies that you always have out. I can understand why people want to come back in the lobby. Now, the masks. I have to ask about the masks. So many places are requiring that people wear masks, or people just feel more comfortable wearing masks. As you reopen the lobby, typically you don't want anything covering the face in a bank lobby. So how are you going to manage that?
Okay, so what we did there is, again, trying to evaluate what is the safest possible solution environment for our employees and customers. In a typical scenario, you're correct. Someone coming with a mask into a bank is usually not a good thing. So we don't allow masks in the lobby, never have. Under these circumstances, though, we have felt that perhaps a mask would be even a more safer environment than the threat of potential robbery for someone wearing a mask. So we are allowing people to wear masks in our lobbies currently when we reopen. Again, that's for their safety. And that's for also our employee safety. And so we're willing to say that's a better solution than no mask at all.
Right, right. Well, I would agree, because I think for a long time, some people, especially high risk folks, are just going to feel more comfortable wearing a
Yep.
mask. Yeah, truly. Okay,
Uh,
wonderful. So CenterState does so much for our community. I mean, everyone knows that. Your logo is present at almost every nonprofit event. But I want to know, is there anything specific that the bank has done for the community during this time?
Well, specifically what we've done is we've addressed the first responders and those in the hospitals and whatnot. We continue to provide for those folks meals, a sort, even entertainment of sort. We have a deep respect for those people who put themselves in harm's way, really, to help those that are in critical need for health reasons. And so we have reallocated some resources to really help that organization. But we continue on a day-to-day basis, continue to support all the nonprofits. They're in dire need today. And so we are here for them. We are not, I think I participated in a survey, the Nonprofit Council, and one of the questions they ask in there, are you going to be reducing or deducting whatever what you're willing to give out this year for nonprofits? And our message is no. In fact, we will probably increase it. Now, we may reallocate it, some of it, to where we think there's more critical needs, but as an whole, CenterState is firmly behind the helping our community any way we can. And the one thing we can do is we can write checks. We also, we typically also, the organization has been very known for not only writing checks, but also for our employees' involvement in the community. That one is a little bit more problematic, only because we want to keep our employees safe. So getting them out and actually being boots on the ground with nonprofits probably is going to take a little bit of a back seat. Again, it's every employee has their own decision to make there, but I'd say we're not going to be as visible in that arena as we have in the past, but we definitely are going to continue to allocate our financial resources to help all the nonprofits here in our community.
And I'm sure the nonprofits are so happy to hear that, because the landscape, the future doesn't look, real positive for them. I think it's going to take a while to, get that all ramped up again, because a lot of people are fearful, whether it be organizations or individuals, and they may be hesitant, to give as much, or, as you're saying, more. So I'm really happy to hear that CenterState is committed to continue to support our nonprofits. That's fantastic. And as far as involvement, I know Karen Hatch, I see her at almost every event. She's outstanding. I think that those events are going to look different going forward, and maybe CenterState can help with some of those decisions, since you are such a huge supporter in determining what does that look like, nonprofit fundraising. I don't know that anyone's going to want to enter a room with 300 other people anytime soon. So yeah, that may look differently. Well, thank you so much for all of CenterState's support. I have to ask you though, how are your employees doing? Have you had any employees that have experienced any stress or anxiety during this time? How are they managing?
Well, thank you for asking, because they are the heart and soul of our organization. The name out front is great, but really the name is just a name. It's the people inside the building and the workers we have here that really make us who we are. They're holding up remarkably well. I refer to them as soldiers for us, because we are essential services. So we have a lot of our employees who are actually on the front line, and meeting with customers. Now, albeit there are some barriers there, they still are putting themselves a little bit of exposure. And they're doing this at the same time they have children at home, because the schools are all closed down. So they are balancing, trying to be a mom and dad, working here at the bank, and also, trying to be a school teacher as well. So they have a lot on their plate, but I would tell you their attitude is fantastic. And I'll take great pride in our organization, because when we go and recruit people to work for us, we're looking for people who understand the why. Why do we do things what we do here? We don't just cash a check to cash a check. There's a reason why, and that's because someone may need that check to go buy a birthday present for a family member, whatever the case may be. But we always drive, it's the why. And from that, they feel very compelled to come in each and every day and serve their customers, and with gratitude and with openness. Excuse me one second. So gratitude and, but they are troopers. Now they do have stress, and we try very hard to help identify that stress with them. Sure. We want to be a very compassionate employer. And so I try to reach out to all the people, all the employees on a weekly basis, sometimes in a team meeting through a phone call with our employees. But again, they are always there for us. I mean, they step up to the plate each and every day.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. What you're saying about reaching out and communicating on a regular basis, that leads in great to my next question, which is about leadership. So you are the leader of our local CenterState banks. And I'm just wondering, like, what have you noticed in your leadership during this time that has been different? What have you had to tap into in order to get the bank through this time?
Well, that's a great question, because we had to pivot there. Again, we had my leadership skills really based upon, motivating its employees to go out there and build the bank and serve our customers, and grow the bank, shall I say. March 16th again came, and the leadership style kind of pivoted, changed, like, how do I restore confidence in our team? How do I restore some calmness? Look, fear was real, okay? All our employees had some sense of fear, and that's real. That's an emotion, and we had to address that emotion. At the same time, not only address it, but have them think about it and try to give them a sense of peace about it, a sense of calmness about it, and again, confidence. And so, we spent a lot of time, talking with our customers, talk with our employees about, yes, we know your fear is real, but at the same time, this is what we're going to do. I'm confident we'll get out of this thing together. Okay, we're going to grow from this. We talked about not only are we going to go through this together, but we're going to grow through this together and come out stronger and look for the positive things we didn't focus on things we can't do. We try to focus on things that we could do. Again, it's all about attitude. And so from that, again, we spent more time, talking about preparedness and planning for preparedness, as opposed to, what we typically would do here, which would be growing the bank, shall I say.
Right. I love the how can we grow through this. I think that is such a wonderful attitude, and focusing on what you can do rather than what you can't, because I think that's where we naturally go, right? Okay, this is our new way of operating, and this is what we can't do. Well, let's focus on what is possible. So that's wonderful.
Because the emotions are real, and we are emotional people, okay, and so we have to deal with our emotions, because our behavior is going to be driven by our emotions, and so we again tried to address that every time we could, again, to refocus on how we can make things better here for them, and be positive and keep positive, fuel them with positive thoughts. We never hardly ever talk about the pandemic. We try not to use the word pandemic, but rather, how can we use the situation to improve the lives of others?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So as you and Paige are riding on your little golf cart around the neighborhood, because we've seen you several times, if a neighbor says, hey, Rusty, I love what the bank is doing, but what can I do? I don't own my own business. I'm the president of an organization that can write checks. What can I do to help out during this time? What would be your reply?
Well, look, I think it all boils down to time, talent, and treasures. Okay, we all have time. Some of us have treasure, some don't. So we can use the talent, and we all have talents, at some point talent. I mean, we've been spiritually gifted with talents, okay? And so what I would say to people that, look, the time thing is very easy to do. And I'm talking about picking up the phone and calling someone. Now, a lot of the elderly people, including my mother-in-law, have been shut in, okay? They really are heavily exposed to this COVID-19, so they really have been shut in, more so than others. And, a simple phone call to someone to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. I can't tell you what that does to lift people's spirits. Grocery shopping for elderly, look, just a smile. Me and Paige were talking tonight as we were sitting on the front porch. Now, we lived in this neighborhood for 30 years, okay? And I would tell you, I have never experienced more families walking, running, biking, golf carting up and down our 13th Street, I tell you, it really is refreshing because the families are out doing things together. There's not near the distractions there once was. And so I think it really has built a more bond between within families themselves. So again, just a casual, hi, how are you doing? Asking about people, if you can, help with the financial gift, great to an organization, find something you're passionate about. But look, that's one thing that I love about Marion County, Ocala, is that this is a very caring community. And when tough times come across our community, people just rise up. They just rise up. It's because of, how they've been raised here or wherever. And they just have this sense of giving back and helping out any way they can. But again, it's very simple. Again, everybody's got time. Everybody's got some kind of talent they can do. They can bake, shop, whatever for somebody. And those that have the ability to write checks can actually write checks and help out as well.
Yes. I love that. Time, talent, and treasure. Yes. Yeah. And I agree. It's so nice seeing families spending time together and even spending more time visiting with each other, a safe distance apart. We see the golf carts pulling up, near each other, and, the kids are so happy to see each other. So yes, I agree. I think it is a lot of times just the simple things, connecting with other people. So wonderful. Great advice, Rusty. Thank you. And I appreciate your time. I know your operations haven't stopped, and I know you're busy. So thank you for taking the time to share your insights and your thoughts today. And as always, thank you so much to CenterState Bank and everything that you all do for our community.
Oh, you're welcome, Gina. Thank you for what you do. And again, God bless and stay safe, okay?
Thank you.